Have you ever thought about whether our planet came with a user manual? Like a set of instructions telling us how far we can push things before they start to break. It sounds kind of funny, but in a way it does. And today we're going to learn how to read it.
Right. This is the big one. How much pressure can our planet really handle? And let's be clear, this isn't about whether the planet itself will survive. It's a giant rock. It'll be fine. The real question is whether it will survive in a state that can continue to support us.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start by looking at Earth's vital signs. Then we'll check out this incredible dashboard scientists built to track them. We'll see which of the 9 gauges are flashing red. And then, most importantly, we'll talk about how this whole thing is really a guide for our future.
Okay, to really get this, let's start with an analogy that makes perfect sense. Think about our planet's life support systems, in the exact same way you think about your own body's vital signs.
I mean, if your body temperature or blood pressure gets too high or too low, you're in serious trouble, right? Well, Earth is exactly the same. It has these critical limits for things like a stable climate, fresh water, and clean air. And for the last 10,000 years, staying within those limits is what has allowed our civilization to absolutely flourish. So how in the world do you measure the vital signs for an entire planet? Well, back in 2009, a group of leading scientists came together and created a framework to do exactly that. You can think of it, literally, as a dashboard for planet Earth. And the key idea here is something called a planetary boundary. Now, it's really important to get this. This isn't some cliff we suddenly fall off. It's more like the warning track on a baseball field. It's a sign that you're getting into a zone of much higher risk. The further you go past it, the bigger the chance of triggering huge, sudden, and maybe irreversible changes to the world we depend on. So really, the whole point of this entire exercise is to define what scientists call a safe operating space for humanity. It's all about figuring out where that green zone is, the zone where we can keep growing and thriving for generations to come. All right, so let's take a look at the dashboard itself. The science team pinpointed 9 major Earth systems that are just absolutely essential for keeping the planet stable. These are the 9 gauges we all need to be watching. And boom, here's a snapshot of where things stand right now. It's super simple to read. Green, that means we're in the safe zone. Yellow, we're pushing our luck and the risk is going up. And red, well, red means we've already crossed the boundary and we're officially in the high-risk zone. And as you can see pretty clearly, there's quite a bit of red and yellow on this dashboard. So what are these 9 gauges? Well, they include the big ones you hear about all the time, like climate change, and biosphere integrity, which is really about the loss of biodiversity. But it goes way deeper, looking at things like land system change, think deforestation, and our global freshwater use. There are also gauges for biogeochemical flows. That's the planet's critical nutrient cycles, like nitrogen. Then you've got ocean acidification, the health of our ozone layer, something called atmospheric aerosol loading, that's pollution in the air. And finally, novel entities, which covers new things we've introduced, like microplastics. Every single one is a critical piece of the puzzle. And this is where things get really urgent. That dashboard isn't a forecast for the future. It's a reading of the here and now. And it's showing us that for a few of these absolutely critical systems, the warning lights aren't just blinking, they are glowing solid red. The first one, and probably the one that's no surprise to anyone, is climate change. We've been talking about this for a long time, but this dashboard gives us a brutally honest number that shows us exactly where we stand. So the boundary, the safe limit for carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, was set at 350 parts per million. And where are we today? We're sitting at over 420, and that number is still climbing. That's not just a statistic. It's a measure of how much we've overwhelmed the atmosphere's natural thermostat. And the danger here is huge. We're not just talking about things getting a little bit warmer every year. We're talking about hitting tipping points, like the massive ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica starting a melt that we can't stop, which could lock in dramatic and devastating changes for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Okay. The second boundary that's deep in the red zone is one that maybe gets less headline space, but it's just as vital, and that's biosphere integrity. Basically, this is about the astonishing variety of life on Earth, our biodiversity. And here is the jaw-dropping reality. Scientists estimate that the current rate of species going extinct is somewhere between 100 and 1,000 times higher than the natural rate we see in the Earth's long history. Let that sink in. We are living through a massive, massive loss of life. So why should that worry us? Because we're not separate from nature. We are completely dependent on it. When we lose all these different species, we're chipping away at the very systems that pollinate our food, that purify our water, and that keep our soils healthy. They're not nice-to-haves, they are essential services. Okay, seeing those red lights flashing can feel pretty intense. I get it. But the whole point of this dashboard isn't to make us feel hopeless. It's to guide us. This is where we shift from looking at the problem to focusing on the solution. Because this framework isn't just for scientists in a lab. It gives us all a shared language and a common set of goals. It means a mayor planning a new development, a CEO designing a new product, or a world leader negotiating a treaty can all ask the same basic question. Is this decision helping us get back into the safe zone, or is it pushing us further out? And when you look at it that way, the path forward becomes pretty clear. Step 1, we have to actually understand and respect these limits. Step 2, we have to innovate like crazy, creating new technologies and ways of living that let us prosper within those limits. And step 3, this has to be a team sport. These problems are global, which means the solutions have to be too. So, in the end, this planetary dashboard really is the user manual we were looking for. It lays out the rules of the game, plain and simple. The science has given us the gauges, the warning lights are flashing. The only question left is the one we all have answer. Are we going to be the generation that finally learns how to read it and steer ourselves back to safety?